And suddenly, I was awake, aware, and I knew only three things. One, somehow I had slipped free of the hive mind's influence. Not fully, but enough. Two, this world rejects my very presence. And three, I'm terribly, terribly hungry. Hello everyone, my name's Jake, we are the Whispers, and today I've set a challenge for myself. Can I beat Terraria with crimson weapons only? A few points of clarification before we begin. The answer is yes, it's almost certainly possible. This isn't a challenge run to see if you can do it or if it's at all possible. I want to see if I can do it and how one would go about it. And also, it's specifically weapons being restricted. Another creator whose name I don't trust myself to pronounce made a similar video which I learned about partway through making this, but the rule set is different in that anything that drops in the Crimson is fair game. It wound up being more restrictive in some ways than my rules, and less so than others, so yes, this is its own thing. All armors and accessories are on the table, but at no point am I allowed to kill any creature using a weapon that does not come from the Crimson. Alright, explanation aside, let's get started. I made the world, set it on expert mode because I hate myself, loaded in, got to tree chopping, and I just threw the run. I'm a fucking idiot. Well, I'm sure that's not an indicator of how this run will go, yeah? Take two. New world, get wood. Huh? Oh god, okay, so yeah, what are we gonna do? Well, we could technically get a tentacle spike from killing crimson enemies, but we obviously can't kill them to try for the drop chance without a weapon of our own. Fishing could give us something via crates, but that's a bit tedious for now. So the easiest and most reliable way is Crimson Hearts, which have a chance to give us a couple good starting weapons. The problem there is getting to the damn things in one piece. I'll need bombs to both break in and destroy one or two depending on my luck, and to somehow maneuver the enemies without fighting back. And considering we're on expert mode, there's not a lot of margin for error when it comes to taking hits. These guys can cut my health in half with a single touch. Thankfully, I did get very lucky in being able to make my way through the desert, finding an overworld entrance to the underground desert, and being rewarded with scarab bombs, which punch a long straight line through terrain and crimson hearts alike. To my surprise, things were shaping up pretty well. So well, in fact, to the point where I started to think this would be way easier than I expected. Ah. Yep. There it is. I gave it a couple more tries. To no avail. And eventually night was upon us, which meant it was time to hide in a box and scroll TikTok to try and drown out the sound of Kevin screaming for help while fighting for his life. He lost. Anyways, day 2 attempt 2 for my first weapon, and a success it was. Yes! Oh, and it's a powerful one. We win these! We win these! Oh, finally a weapon. Unfortunately, pretty much the instant I grabbed my first taste of power in this world, the severe thunderstorm began. Felt like an omen. Warning to every creature of every kind to be afraid of what is to come. Oh hey, the arms dealer's here. Infinite ammo, baby, weapons free. Wait, what was I talking about? It probably wasn't important. Oh hey, a guitar! Now that we had an arms dealer to buy ammo from, we could really get this thing going. I sold all my other weapons for gold, used a fallen star to enchant my boomerang just to make sure it sold for more, and spent all my ensuing riches on ammo. Now that I had a gun and could safely navigate the streets of Florida with only a mild fear for my life, I went out searching for accessories and got some target practice in. There we go. My aim's getting better again. Been a while since I played Ranger, clearly. Oh my god, I can't hit a basically stationary target. I'm cooked. I'm cooked. This run is so fucking cursed. With that incredible display of marksmanship, I was ready to go underground. I was after something specific here. Hermes boots. Using the increased speed they'll give me, I should hopefully be able to start taking on some bosses, not to mention the ores I'll find will help bolster my defense. So, a pair of boots and one atrocious fit later, it was time to start preparing. This meant, first and foremost, discovering the rest of the overworld, but doing so would mean making my way back through the blood-red crimson that was my birthplace. I couldn't understand why my kin fought me so. Do they not see our goals are aligned? Do they fear my ambition? It matters not. I decided to pause and break a second Crimson Heart, hoping to get the Rotted Fork, a spear that'd make close-range combat much easier. Instead, I got a Crimson Rod, a magic weapon that summons arcane blood to rain down and assail my foes. Not what I hoped for, but certainly helpful. Time will tell if it's what I need. Speaking of time, we've spent enough of it on the earliest stages now, so I'll spare you the recap of several hours of finding and exploring. I got a few more accessories, a couple life crystals, and the materials I would need to keep potions on tap. So, I set up an arena and decided to give Eye of Cthulhu a test run. No potions, no real investment into the arena setup, just a bare-bones damage test. Initial damage wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. Certainly not enough to handle the latter half of Phase 2, where in expert mode it's almost constantly dashing around. But then, something unexpected happened. At first I didn't even realize what happened. Did it move through my rain at the same time as a bullet and just eat a ton of crits? Wait, no, that was a star, what? Okay, pop buffs now. This is the only shot I'm getting. It's weak, and I want some fucking blood. Oh my god, that fucking zombie. What are the odds? Oh my god, the fallen stuff. That was a test run. Hey, editor's note here. We've been playing this game for over 1,000 hours, and we've been well aware this could happen, but I've never once actually had it happen to us. So the first time it does, giving me the opening to clutch out an early victory, this run is blessed. That was a... Get out of here, zombies. Oh my god. I was not happy about the damage that fight. I was a bit worried. I thought we'd almost certainly have to go get a Rotted Fork. And the end there showed me why. It was getting real hard to hit him. Oh my goodness. Well, hey, that's a first try, baby. First try. There we go. And it's at this point that I must admit, I've been lying to you. There was a reason outside of self-deprecation that I've been doing this on expert mode. Although, that too. But there are 2 expert mode only accessories that I wanted for this run, and we just got one. The Shield of Cthulhu gives me the ability to dash, damaging enemies if I ram into them. And while all accessories are allowed, the attack isn't actually what I'm here for. What I really care about is the ability to dodge using the burst of movement, and more importantly, the ability to crash into my enemies without fear for bursts of melee damage. A detail that'll matter a lot later on in the run. But for now, I decided to take on the Eye a couple more times so I can get all the gear available to me. A task now made much easier since navigating its charges just became child's play. And once I'm geared up, it's time for our next challenge. The Brain of Cthulhu, guardian of my once home. Setting up the arena is an easy enough task now that I can fend off the pests. But I can't get this unease out of my head. I feel prepared, but Am I? And why are they trying to stop me anyways? I push the worry aside again. If I had to dethrone the core of this hive mind, then I would. Anything to keep the hunger sated. Unfortunately, it didn't go nearly as smooth as I had planned. Between getting swarmed by all the other mobs that spawned, or getting caught up on the oddly generated terrain, getting a good run even started was a pain. I managed one early on, but in expert mode you get to a point where you can't make out which clone is the correct one. I suppose it makes sense being a brain and all, but it got into my head. And despite putting a good fight in, I eventually caved under the strain. And if that wasn't bad enough, no matter how many Crimson Hearts I shattered, I couldn't get a spear. But we're far from out of options. Because you see, killing the small eyes it summons drops tissue samples, the other material needed to make the remaining Crimson gear. With this, I could make not only more effective weapons, but also much stronger armor. And so I spent a few more attempts whittling away at it. Not killing it, but drawing blood. And as a good friend once told me, if it can bleed, it can die. And like that, it was over. Finally free of the hive mind. For good. They would never welcome me back now, but that's fine. The real problem was what to do next. This is the strongest I would be for a while, but the challenges certainly weren't about to start getting easier. There are a handful of optional bosses I could target next, but most of them have little to offer me. Skeletron and Deerclops, however, drop accessories in expert mode that may let me squeeze in some extra damage, something I'll desperately be needing before taking on the Wall of Flesh. But before I could actually try and do either of those things, my gods, I need more health. So I made some mining and spelunking potions and got down in the mines, determined to not resurface until I had all the health I needed. And many bombs and one glowing mushroom biome later, I had a good stockpile of life crystals. So I popped up to the surface and maxed out my health. Nope, it's gonna annoy me. We're going back. We're going back. Ah, much better. Now then, what were we up to? Oh yeah, wanton violence and destruction. Right. So the next target is one of the Bony Boys. Both of their accessories do decent enough damage, have impressive armor penetration, and roughly the same fire rate. The real difference comes in how they attack. The glove is aimed directly by the player and triggered by attacking, whereas the helm attacks passively, but only within 30 tile radius. I wound up opting to take on Deerclops first, because Skeletron has a lot more defense, so the armor piercing at the helm will help us a lot during the fight as extra passive damage. And oh man, Deerclops, what a pity. I couldn't even call you a boss. You're no threat. You're just prey. I just stood there and let it wear itself out trying to hurt me in any way that would matter. All to no avail. Put your thrashing beast, and let yourself be devoured. Editor's note, aside from the lore and storytelling, let me explain what's happening here mechanically for the folks that may be a bit lost or haven't played a ton of Terraria. Don't worry, I'll be quick. 1. I switched all my accessories to those that grant defensive buffs. The Brain of Confusion in particular gives me a chance to dodge enemy attacks entirely, and the attacks that do get through mostly tickle. The only attack that would be a threat is its Debris Storm, but since I'm standing point blank, he'll never use it. Next, the Heart Lantern, Campfire, Honey, Armor, and Band of Regen all grant various amounts of health regeneration, meaning the tickles of damage I do take get healed away almost instantly. Last, potions. Iron Skin means more defense, Thorns means he hurts himself for attacking me, which remember does nearly nothing to begin with, and a regen potion for yet another source of constant healing. Combine that all, and you get a fight where I outright forget to pop my buff potions until it's at half health because it finally gets my health somewhere I'm concerned about. And even then, it still gets absolutely crushed. For reference, here's what the same setup without any potions looks like against Eye of Cthulhu. So, yeah, defense is good, and tanking is a powerful strategy. And while unfortunately it may not solve all of our problems this run, it's going to be a good strategy to keep in the back pocket. But now that we've got our helm, it's time for Skeletron. To be honest with you, I don't know if we'll actually need it for the wall, but I also really want its grappling hook. And I know for certain I'll be wanting the extra damage the Bone Glove gives once we're actually in hard mode. And if you've predicted that I'm dreading the transition into hard mode, you're absolutely right. Especially with how quickly the average health and defense of enemies is gonna shoot up, I'll be wanting all the armor-piercing options I can get my hands on. Anyways, the Skeletron battle. Didn't go great. There's not a whole lot to say here, the helm is holding its own. The point of failure this time is me. I was sloppy every second of this fight. Thankfully, it was just a test to see how the damage would fare, but it also got me to realize I could seriously do with expanding the arena a bit. So I did just that, expanding the arena to a more comfortable size, gearing up with everything I'd need during the day, then I went in for round 2. I managed to get out of the dungeon entrance relatively easily, used the new space to avoid running into literally every attack possible, and soon it started to come back to me. I was evading properly now, and it wasn't long until the hands fell. And let me tell you, this helm was putting in serious work. But then I realized we were getting dangerously close to morning. I started focusing down the head as fast as I could, but got sloppy in the process, somehow getting caught inside Skeletron and dying from my impatience. But I knew I had it this time. I added an endurance potion to my kit for this attempt, and its 10% damage reduction was doing great work for my survivability, so I decided to whip up some rage potions for the next attempt, just to make sure I had enough damage. Then, once it was night again, it was time for round 3. Let's do this. And he's dead. Look man, I don't know what to tell you. It's Skeletron. Do circles and equip Jester arrows. There's only so much I can do to make that interesting to watch. I don't know why I did so badly the first few times, but once the rust was off and I actually started the fight at the beginning of the night to give myself enough time, go figure, he goes down. But this fight did show us something. And that's that high enemy defense values are already managing to become a problem. This fight, while easy, did take longer than I hoped. So I already feel much better about going out of my way to do Skeletron now, even if we can't use the dungeon much yet, since its accessory gives us more of that armor-piercing damage. Speaking of the Bone Glove, let's take another look at it. I can keep firing at max swing speed so long as I keep spinning my flail around, which means in total I have my flail protecting me, claws attacking anything that gets within about half screen length, and bones that I can shoot directly at desired targets. Not bad. But more important than that, the real best reason to kill Skeletron shows itself. Finally, the clothier's back. I can have my drip again. Psst. Hey, Terraria here. Yes, I know this is Jake's video, not mine, but spot the difference. Hey, the fuck are you doing here? Oh shit. Oh, and the mechanic too, I guess. Huh. Well, hi, both of you. Man, how convenient. I've been looking for that fuck-ass tinkerer. And now that I've run out of prep to use as an excuse to stall the inevitable, it's time to figure out the wall. Or rather, hell in general. I've always been averse to fire, so going into a place practically made of the stuff isn't exactly high on my wish list. But in this case, there's no choice in the matter. Tanking it like I did the Deerclops isn't an option, but switching out our normal healing potions for restoration potions will make sure we always have healing on demand instead of relying on regen. Combine that with increased mobility and better defense boosts on our accessories, courtesy of our new Tinkerer friend, and we might still be able to win this. So I readied my potions and bought the Dark Horse mount from the zoologist, and like that my prep was complete. Now all that was left was to make the arena, and do what must be done. Why did you bring me here? You still haven't figured that out. Oh my god. You didn't kill them to protect us, did you? You just devoured them to get stronger. Now you're catching on. But this isn't something you can just eat. It's more than that. It's...
A vessel?
How did you know?
Well, I am made of the stuff. It's only natural that I can sense it. A hunter lives by its ability to track its next meal, after all.
Even if you do succeed, by the time you've gorged yourself, you'll have set in motion events you can't stop. This world will end, with you on it.
Well, you're right about that part, at least. Okay, already half health. I think we're running, yep, we're running out of runway. Come on, defense, keep holding strong. Shit, move! Finally. Give me your heart, foul thing. Unset.